Shalom, shalom, yasharallah. Okay, shalom, yasharallah. Shema yasharallah, Yahweh, Aliyah, Yahweh Akkad, wa Hafta al Yahweh, Aliyah, Bakal Labaka, wa Bakal Napashka, wa Bakal Ma'adka. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh, our power, Yahweh is one, and you shall love Yahweh, your power, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Haberakhah come Yahweh, Bashem Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh bless you all. In the name of Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. Yahweh, Bashem Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Give us understanding of your word. Lead us into truth. Forgive us and our fathers for our iniquities and transgressions that we've committed against you. Help us to do better. Help us to obey you. Make our heart, soul, and mind obedient to you, as this is our desire, Yahweh. Show us the fruits of the Spirit that we may walk in them, and show us how to refuse and remove far from us the work of the flesh. In the name of your Son, Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, we ask you this. Thank you always. Amen. All right, so we're going to jump right into it. All right, so as I stated before, I mean, this whole time period that we're in right now of the Chag HaSakwa, the Feast of Booths, is making us more in chill mode. So I'm going to run through these prophecies real quick from the Torah portion of waZaath HaBarakah. This is the blessing, which is the name of the portion. Now remember, these blessings are all together. Some of them may seem kind of understandable to you, but this when I'm talking about this Torah portion, I'm not teaching everything about the tribes. Bear that in mind. I'm focusing on rather what this particular chapter in Devarim, Deuteronomy 33, has to say about these tribes. So bear that in mind. So this is not meant to be a 12 tribe breakdown. It was not meant to prove the authenticity of the 12 tribes chart. This is meant to give explanation of this particular chapter, and I may draw from other chapters of the book of the Bible to substantiate something, but I don't want to get into a breakdown of the 12 tribes, because that's like a 3-4 hour lesson right there. All right, so hey, Kodashiam, Shalom. All right, so we're going to start in Deuteronomy chapter 33. And we're going to read verse, we're going to start with verse 13. And it says, and of Joseph he said, blessed of Yahweh be his land, for the precious things of heaven, for the dew, and for the deep that coucheth beneath. All right, so Joseph is the Puerto Ricans and the Cubans. Saludos, hallelujah. Saludos, Kodashim. That's dealing with the things they have in the ocean and the precious things that are on their land. Okay. And for the precious fruits brought forth by the sun, and for the precious things put forth by the moon. Certain things in Puerto Rico and Cuba only bloom and blossom and grow at night. Particular kinds of orchids, and then you have the coqui, which you can hear them singing their songs at night throughout Puerto Rico. The very small, tiny frog that sings its song usually at night, even though they've invaded other countries at this point. but they come from Puerto Rico and they're unique to that island of Puerto Rico. And for the chief things of the ancient mountains, and for the precious things of the lasting hills. A lot of times, during hurricanes and stuff, the Cubans would go up and hide from the hurricane in the mountains. And then when it talks about the chief things of the mountains and the hills, that's going into some of the mythology. The Puerto Ricans believe that the Creator lived on a mountain top in Puerto Rico. On the golden, cierra esa puerta cuando sale, cierra la puerta. They lived on a golden throne on a mountain, all right, in the clouds. So, and that's unique to Puerto Rico, that belief. So that talks about the ancient things, the ancient mountains. They believe that Alejandro Shalom, that the Creator lived on his golden throne on a mountaintop in Puerto Rico. It's called El Yunque. El Yunque. Yunque. Verse 16. And for the precious things of the earth and fullness thereof, and for the goodwill of him that dwelt in the bush, let the blessings come upon the head of waZaath and upon the top of the head of him that was separated from his brethren. And part of the blessing is that for Cuba is one of the few countries. Cuba had they shared that blessing with everybody else that was. A lot of people don't know this, but if you were black or indigenous, in other words, if you were Israelite or Israelite blood, you could go to Cuba and receive a free medical education as a doctor, as a nurse, surgeon, whatever field of medicine, totally free. And they would also give you money for food every month. That's what Cuba did. All right. Now in Puerto Rico has their territory, and they can go back and forth between their territory and America without a visa, without any type of passport, because they're a territory of America. Now Cuba, if they make it to America, they can stay in America. So they have like two places where they can reside at, their own home island, and then they can go to America and go all around America as they want. His glory is like the firstborn of his bullock. So powerful, very strong tribes. The Cubans resisted American invasion for so long, and then they fought off America and got their island back, so to speak. Even though Illuminati controls everything, they still got the island back. And his horns are like the horns of unicorns, which those horns talking about the power of the people. When they're looking forward and the force of the people straight forward, it can be used to gather together all of the other tribes. All right, because that's like a auroch. That's the type of bullock or animal that it's talking about when it says unicorn. Not talking about a rhinoceros, and it's not talking about a horse with a horn. It's talking about a very big, muscular, strong, and fast type of ox, ancient ox. And if you look at most horns on a cow go up like this, okay? But this particular ox, he can be looking right at you, and his horns go out like this. His horns go out, all right? So he pokes you right when he's looking at you. So it's different than most other oxes. He shall push the people together to the ends of the earth. So the tribes of Joseph or of Ephraim were responsible for Israel leaving from the Assyrian captivity in the time of Hosea, going into captivity in the time of Hosea, and then that Ephraimite rulership
from the family of Joseph carried over to make sure that we made it into the Americas safely. They are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. So from a small tribe, they increased and populated. Okay, so verse 18. And of Zebulun, he said, rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out. So Zebulun used to inhabit parts of central and southern eastern Mexico. So Zebulun left from that area in thy going out. And Issachar in thy tents. The place where Zebulun left, Issachar, which are the so-called Mexicans, came from the north in Mexico and settled in that land. There was people already there. And most of those people there were indigenous to the tribe of Zebulun, but they kind of got pushed out when their brothers from the tribe of Issachar came in, and they went further south. When you're going into like southern Veracruz, eastern Oaxaca, when you're talking about Tabasco, when you, Chiapas, Quintana Roo, and Yucatan. You're talking about all of the places where Zebulun is at. Okay. So Zebulun rejoiced when he was leaving. Why? Because he was still with his brothers, still in that same land, still had the wide coastal area of the Yucatan Peninsula. Really after that isthmus in Mexico, there was an isthmus in Mexico, which an isthmus an isthmus is like a small little piece of land. The isthmus of Tehuantepec. That's the isthmus, Tehuantepec, where the land squeezed together. And once again, like I said, it's kind of like at the you got Oaxaca, and then you have Oaxaca, and then you have Veracruz right there. So Ephraim, so Manasseh, Zebulun was in that area further, actually further west. And when Issachar came in and settled in that area, and Zebulun just went further east. Okay, so that's why I say Issachar in thy tents. Also, Zebulun that going out, Zebulun is blessed with being able to navigate the oceans, navigate the mainly the coastal areas of the oceans and rivers and creeks. And it's a blessing that they had to be able to look at a creek and say, it might be deep right here, shallow right here, so we got to navigate this way. All right. And so the Zebulunites were able to travel very well within the creeks and within the streams, within the river areas. They shall call the people to the mountain. Okay. Now, when they say call the people to the mountain, when I talk about that isthmus, which is Tehuantepec, that Tepec means mountain. You got Jamiltepec in Mexico. Jamiltepec in Mexico. You have Ometepec. Okay. You have Ecatepec. Okay. You have all these tepecs in Mexico. What that suffix actually means is mountain. You have the same thing in Zebulun. In their language, they have so many suffixes that mean the word mountain. Okay, so this is mainly going into Mayan, and the suffix that they have that means mountain. That makes up their name places. Okay, and once again, you got the te. It's mainly a lot of the te words when you're looking into Mayan words. So, like I said, once again, once we look at all the tribes together, I'll give you a more concise manner of identifying a different tribe. Once again, this video is about this chapter. And I'm trying to stay disciplined and stay within the verses in this chapter without moving to a lot of other verses all throughout the Bible. Once again, when I do a breakdown on the tribes, I'll go into everything about the tribes from all throughout the Bible. All right. But this video is just for Torah and about Torah and the chapter that we're in. So it says, there they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness. So they started out trying to do righteous sacrifices, but it fell off into a lot of idolatry and witchcraft as time went on. They shall suck of the abundance of the seas, mainly dealing with Issachar. Off his coastlines, they have oil. They have the oils and of treasures hid inside of in the sand. So they might have a lot of fracking oil reserves along the coastlines, but sucking the abundance of the seas gets into the greatest wealth that we have are the commandments of Yahweh. And the commandments of Yahweh were symbolized by the border of blue and the fringes. And the shell that's used, the creature, the source of that dye is only found two places in the world, in the Mediterranean area and inside of the Pacific and Atlantic coastal areas, mainly Pacific areas of the tribe of Issachar and the tribe of Zebulon. It's a special kind of shell that's used that makes that a blue dye. And the more it's exposed to the sun, the lighter it gets, the more it's isolated without any UV rays at all. It stays violet. But once it gets UV rays in a dark room, then it changes into like a dark blue. All right. So that's another thing that's talking about with sucking the abundance of the seeds, talking about the abundance of that dye that represents the laws of Yahweh, which is our greatest treasures, all right, that we get life through obeying and believing in HaMashiach Yahweh. So that's what it's talking about, the abundance of the seas and the treasures hidden in the sand. The blue dye shell, the special sea creature that makes the blue dye, as well as the reserves. I know outside of like Campeche, Mexico, which is kind of like Zebulon, but Issachar controls that area. They have a big oil reserve off that coastline, and they have the U.S. the Mexican Navy out there, and they go out there and bring the oil in. So that's another way the treasures hidden in the sand and suck the abundance of the seas. Now, verse 20 goes to the tribe of Gad. It says, and of Gad he said, blessed be that enlargeth Gad. So I myself, am a Gadite. So I got an automatic blessing just from having children, because Gad means truth. That's what the word Gad means. And a lot of Gadites that come into this truth, they gotta have a lot of children. Or they're gonna have a lot of children. So the scripture said that blessed be that enlargeth Gad. All right. So Gad means a truth. So we got to stay true to, our name, which means truth. I know biologically, my father has 5 children. All right. So Gad, we blessed be that enlargeth Gad, because a lot of Gad got murdered off during the conquest of America. And we called ourselves 500 nations when the white man first came into the Americas. They called us 500 nations. We knew that there were so many people. We called ourselves a numerous people, which that word itself in Hebrew is Gad, which means a large troop, a large number. Okay. So it says Gad. It says, blessed be that enlargeth Gad. So the Gadites were totally destroyed by the so-called white man when they invaded America. And then over time, we had more children, to the point now where a lot of us running around looking like Judah, because our fathers had babies with Judite women. And when those children married other children that were born from Judite women, we just started looking like Judah over the years, but there's still a lot of Gadites that have typical pre-slavery and pre-Columbian characteristics and features. Some of them are dark skinned like me. Some of them are lighter. Some of them have noses like mine. Some of them have more broad noses. Some of them have straighter noses. Different variety of Gadites. So it said he dwelleth as a lion. So Gad dwelling as a lion is getting to that. The lion in Hebrew right now is a female lion, a lioness. So Gad is a natural killer, just like natural hunters, but we're also very nourishing toward our families too. But we have a temper, we get an attitude, but we're very nourishing toward our children and very meek and very mild mannered toward our families a lot of time. But then we have a switch, and you flick that switch, we'll go off on you. We'll be ready to go to war, ready to kill, right? Ready to kill. But a lot of Gadites might be so mild that people might mistake them for being soft. But then when it comes to war, it's time to spill blood. That's when we go into the whole hunter mode and want to, rip flesh and spill blood. So that's what it means that Gad dwells as a lion. Also, the lioness, which is what this says in the Hebrew, which is a female lion, dwelt with the lion. And how did the Gadites dwell? Lions have large territories that they live in with their pride and that they hunt in. And other lions aren't supposed to come into that area. Same with the North American Indians. We had like 200, 1,000 square miles that we would hunt in. And no other tribe was supposed to come and hunt in that area. No other tribe was supposed to come and be in our hunting grounds, because that's how lions dwell. Big open areas, not even really using all that space. It's just mine, it's just there. And that's how North American Indians were. We had this big, large portion in America. And once we got that big portion in America, we just divided it amongst ourselves. Some brothers you had on the East Coast, some brothers were Southern Plains Indians, as they call them, Southeastern Indians. You see what I'm saying? So we dwelt as a lion, and it says, and teareth the arm with the crown of the head. So it means that Gad is a lion and a hunter. Okay. A lot of people may say this talks about taking the feather out, cutting your arm, and making blood brothers, which I can get into that also. It also gets into the tremendous marksmanship that the Gadites had. Could knock the head off a man's shoulders with a rifle. The most expert snipers, marksmen, or sharpshooters were, believe it or not, so-called Native American Indians from the tribe of Gad. Okay, so in the Hebrew, it says tearing off the arm with the head, just ferocious warriors. All right, and then we had something where we would hit your arm in warfare, called counting coup. All right, and we wouldn't kill you. You want a warrior that was worthy for us to even waste a bullet or waste the energy to kill. So we just circle around and just keep hitting you. Just keep hitting your arm, hitting your head. So it says he tears off the arm and the head. That's getting into the ferocious nature of the Gadite warriors. Some of the most ferocious warriors that the world has ever seen. Also, we tore off the crown of the head in what they call scalping, which we got that from the French, but we're the ones that were doing, a lot of scalping of our enemies, taking their head and cutting around the top part of it and then taking the scalp off. All right, taking the scalp off. So that's also talking about how we tear the arm with the crown of the crown of the head too. And oftentimes in war, we would like cut off a man's arm, so he can't be a warrior against us no more, or cut off his hand. These are different forms of torture. These are different forms of torture that we put our captives under, man. We put our captives under, these different forms of torture, and they were afraid of us. So that's what it's talking about. Tearing the crown, tearing the arm with the crown of the head. Tearing the arm with the crown of the head. All right. Now, the last part is kind of getting into geographic and shows us about the tribe of Judah. All right. It says, Deuteronomy 33:21, and he provided the first part for himself, meaning that the tribe of Gad is going to be at the most northern part of the migration area where the tribes came to. Okay. Tribe of Gad is going to be at the most northern part. So that's showing that the northern tribes, the tribal territory in the Americas, is given to the North American Indians. All right, the tribe of Gad. Okay, that's who is in the north. Then it says, because there, in the first part, in North America, in a portion of the lawgiver was he seated. All right. So, in a portion of the lawgiver. Okay. So it says, there, the portion of lawgiver was, it says hidden actually. All right. Portion of lawgiver was hidden. So nobody knew that the lawgiver was going to be coming to dwell. Actually, let's see, this says the portion. That's getting into like inheritance also. The inheritance of the lawgiver. So North America is the inheritance or portion that it's talking about. Now, pay very close attention to this. When it says the lawgiver, is talking about Judah. Because when you go into the book of Psalms, chapter 60, verse 7, it says that Judah is the Most High's lawgiver. Okay? When you go into Judah, when you go into Psalms 60, verse 7, it says that Judah is the lawgiver. And when you go into Genesis 49:10, it talks about Judah being associated with the lawgiver. And then when you go into like I said, Psalms 60 and 7, you can see it there that Judah was the Most High lawgiver. So this shows us that the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Gad are going to be dwelling together. And showing that Gad is going to get there first because Gad took the first part for himself. Then it says he came with the heads of the people. So the North American Indians, the tribe of Gad, is the only tribe that officially and continuously met with the leaders of the world in the form of the presidents of the United States of America. All of the Gadite leaders would always have an audience and meet these presidents. So that's what it's talking about, that Gad came with the heads of the people. Also letting you see that when we came into the Americas, a lot of leadership of the Israelites were in North America at first, and a lot of them then pushed further south. We see this with Mexicans. Mexicans from the tribe of Issachar came from Aslan, the place they say is the northern part of that the ancestors of the Mexicans say that they came from. Okay, a lot of people say that's the northern and southern part, northern Mexico, but in Southern America. Okay, Aslan, Aztlan. Okay, Aslan. So they say that that's how where Issachar was at, the Mexicans, before they came into Mexico, was that northern place. So that's why it says that he came with the heads of the people. He executed the justice of Yahweh and his judgments with Yasharallah. So a lot of the systems that a lot of other tribes use are based on the North American Indian systems, or the system that the Iroquois had, and we Gadites, we taught the other tribes different ways to set up a justice system. A lot of them did it. North American are looked up to by the other people today because of the struggle that we've had against the so-called white man in America. All right, so that's basically the Torah portion for right now. I want to try to come back and we can go into number 5, which number 5 tribes are going to be verses 22 through 26, which gets into Dan, 22 to 26, Dan and Naphtali and Asher. All right, so you know, once again, I like those tribes I like to break down, you know, on those particular tribes right there. But he dwells as a lion, tears the arm, little Gad, provide the first part for himself, how he took North America, first North America, going into parts of Canada, and then in North America, with the United States of America. And then in the portion of the lawgiver was Gad seated. All right, so Gad is going to be seated or dwelling in the same place where the lawgiver is going to be coming to, which is Judah, showing you that Judah came over second, but Gad was already there when Judah came. All right, so very important verse in Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 21, in terms of showing that the house of Judah and the house of Ephraim, house of Israel, came together in North America. And from that point up till now, North America has continued to be the main gathering point of all the tribes of Israel. Also showing you how Gad kind of paved that way. He came with the heads of the people and executed the justice of Yahweh, meaning Gad is the one that was helping to rid the land of the Gentiles when we came and took over on the west side of the Jordan River. And that was a blessing because that same spirit is going to follow us again. The same spirit is going to follow us again. All right, so those are the tribes. Shema Yasharallah, Yahweh Alahayna, Yahweh Akkad, waZaath at Yahweh Alahayaka, Bakal Lababka, Wabakal Napashka, Wabakal Ma'atka. Hail Israel, Yahweh our power, Yahweh is one. And you shall love Yahweh, your power, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Dawadi Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, for giving us understanding of your word. Dawadi Yahweh, for letting us have our eyes open to return unto you and in covenant with you. Forgive us and our fathers for our sins that we've committed against you. Give us more understanding. Make us and help us serve you better and obey you in spirit and in truth and worship you. Bashem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise Yahweh. Thank you always. Doatam Yad. Aman.